Hi, everybody. It's Jennifer, or as friends call me, Pokey. And no, I will not divulge how that nickname came to be. It has nothing to do with Pokey and Gumby, though. Um, so these videos, my daily challenge. My friends on Facebook know that I started this in 2016. I was going through a very terrible time. A little background is that I have a history of going through abuse and dealing with things like molestation and rape. And I'm not going to discuss that stuff in detail. That's definitely not something that's easy to talk about to begin with, let alone in front of a camera. But I was going through a very bad time where I didn't attempt suicide, but I was contemplating suicide. And part of it was because of the issues with my ex-husband and a lot of the bad things that were happening at that time. He was away. He had taken my oldest son, and I was alone on base while I was in the Navy, and I was going through a very bad time. It was bad being alone, and I I had these terrible thoughts that I was a danger to my child because I had depression, that what if I hurt him because I had been hurt growing up, like uh, all these bad thoughts. And it compounded very heavily, especially with my ex-husband treating me like I was a danger to our child. And it was bad. Um I had a friend who called the on base police on me, and it's only because I didn't answer my phone because I happened to be on my phone with my sister at the time, who was convincing me to give it another shot. And I I agreed. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm not a monster. I'm not gonna become what had happened to me. And and I went willingly to the hospital and said, you know what? I need to talk to someone. I'm terrified that I'm going to hurt my kid. And they say, I think the fact that you recognize that you have depression, that you have anxiety, that you have PTSD shows your willingness to accept that there is something wrong. You know, you went through some traumatic experiences since you were a young child, and you've gone through some as an adult. So you've gotten help in the past, right? Yeah, I've gotten help in the past, and I will continue to do so. And they said, well, there you go. That is a sign to us that we don't think you're a danger to kid just on that. Now, if you were exhibiting other signs that, you know, you could hurt your child, well, then yeah, we'd step in. But the fact that you are afraid, deathly afraid, that you could ever hurt your child, that you could raise your voice at him, that, you know, I think you're taking necessary steps. And I said, okay. And so I went to counseling again. When I convinced my ex-husband to bring our child back, because I thought I was getting out of the Navy at that time because I was separating due to a shoulder injury. And I was able to convince him to come back with our oldest. And then sometime before then, I I chose to look at myself, really dive deep, and I said, you know what? I keep seeing all the negative in me. I keep seeing all the negative, and it's all I've ever done my entire life. And it didn't help that other people kept seeing the negative in me and kept showing me through betrayals and through backstabbing and through trickery and through manipulation, that people were showing me that there was nothing good in me. And there was a part of me that knew that wasn't true. There's got to be some good stuff, you know, to my personality, to my character. I mean, the fact that I cared enough about my depression, and I was so worried that that would be put onto my child. The fact that I loved my child so much that I thought that I was a monster and that I would be a danger to him, that I should remove myself because that's how scared I was. That should show that I cared, that I have the capacity to love. So there's got to be more to me than just all these negative flaws that people kept pointing out that I kept seeing in myself. So that brought about the daily challenge of before I can learn to love myself, I have to like myself. And so today, and then I would pick out something that I liked about myself. Now, I can definitely tell you that today, as of today, I do love myself. It's not every day, and it's not going to be every day. That's just how life is. And especially if you're living with anxiety and depression, especially if you do have flashbacks and nightmares to the bad things that have happened to you, it's impossible to love yourself 24/7. It's impossible. Anyone who tries to tell you that, they're lying. Um, but I still love myself more than I did before, especially since 3 years ago. I'm sorry for the glare on my glasses. I kind of need them to see. So you're going to have to deal with the glare. And the setting, we just moved like last month to a new place, and it's still a little messy, but whatever. I'm not one of those online people who care about their background and how they look. I don't have any makeup on. I have a bunch of bug bites, which really suck. They hurt more than anything is what irritates me, not so much that they're blemishes or whatever. The only time I wear mascara is to get my eyelashes to glue in place so they don't curl back and stab me in the eye. So this whole presentation, this is what you're getting. I don't really care. But anyway, so I did this daily challenge, and I started it in 2016, July. And it was small things at first, just little things like I like that I try to get myself back on my feet from depression through moderation. Like I will do one thing, one chore that day, and then the rest of the day I will do other things, but that one chore and I'll feel accomplished. It was these little quips. I'd say I like that I do this, because when you're dealing with depression, when you are living with depression, it's even doing the dishes can be a monumental task. You are so far into that setting inside yourself that it is hard to see anything outside. It's hard to push yourself to do even the smallest of tasks. So back then I would list like, I did my laundry today. I am proud of myself for that. I like that I did it today. So it was little things, and I was really, really far down. My toes were touching the bottom and wondering whether I should just dive in. That's how bad it was. I was literally toward that edge. So it started as small things, but it started to grow. It started to grow as I started to see more things about myself that I liked. And it's also things like, I like that I love Disney. I like that I'm this nerd. I love Star Trek and Star Wars and Doctor Who and Supernatural. And, I was listing things off, just these things every day that I liked about myself. And so I'm going to read a couple of these, just to kind of give an example of things that I had written on Facebook. And the purpose of this video, purpose of these videos that I should have said in the beginning was, this is my way of combating my stage fright. I still have severe stage fright. I'm pretending that I'm talking to myself and not to an audience. So I'm not going to look at the camera like I'm looking right up there. I'm going to look at myself on screen because I'm trying to get over some of my fears. I've been like this since I can remember, that I would have a fear, but I would do something anyway because I didn't believe in cowering. I didn't believe in hiding and running and hiding. And there's nothing wrong with that if you actually are in fear of something, or if something really is overwhelming. It's not bad, okay, to be afraid. That's the thing is, people think it's bad to be afraid. No, it's not bad to be afraid. It's a natural reaction. You should have that. That makes you very normal. Learning how to brave through that it takes a lot of courage, a lot of guts, and it's very hard. And while I like to pat myself on the back and say like, go you for always doing this, I don't. Like, most of the time I'm like, you know what? I could have been braver. I could have done more. So I definitely pushed through a lot in my life. I'm not perfect, and I'm never going to be, and I'm going to make mistakes, but I still try to push through. So these series of videos I'm going to be doing is to show my willingness to overcome that fear of stage fright, because I'm afraid to talking to people en masse. It can be two people. It can be two people, but if I'm at a podium and they're down there in some chairs or whatever, I'm terrified. I freeze up. I start to get clammy. I start to shake. I get really shook up. It was just mortifying when I was in the Navy, because as an IS, you're briefing the PowerPoint that you put together, the presentation. So you're briefing in front of, leadership, and is been bad. My nerves have definitely got the best of me, because if I don't know a subject, I'm terrified. So this is a little bit easier, because this is me talking about myself and trying to promote a daily challenge of finding things that you like about yourself, ways that you can give a positive change to your outlook of yourself as well as others. So that's definitely something that I want to do, but I don't want to just type it out anymore. I don't want to just put it on my Facebook page. I want to actually post it. And while on YouTube, I'm going to definitely disable comments, because I have dealt with online bullying and trolls. And I know that not everyone is like that there's going to be people out there saying positive things, but I don't want to deal with the trolls. I don't want to actually have to monitor anything. It's more of an irritant than anything now, because it upset me back then. It hurt a lot back then. But now I'm a bit more confident in myself, that I think, you know what? I just don't want to deal with you. If you're a troll, I don't want to deal with you. So that's where I'm at as far as that's concerned. But this is my goal, is to overcome this horrible fear I have of talking to people, and putting myself out there. And so this first video, I know, is very long. I'm sorry. This is just to kind of break the ice and to show where I'm coming from. And as we go with the videos, you'll learn more about me, and you'll see more about me in everything that I wrote, because I'm printing it off. So I'm reading from the first 3 years of me doing these daily challenges, which wasn't every day. I have to live life, and especially now that I'm a single mom of 2 little boys, and a disabled Navy veteran, trying to make my way in the world, it's kind of, you have to live life. You can't just constantly be typing stuff up. But it is important to take a moment sometimes to type stuff up or to do a video. It's important to take that moment. So even though my daily challenges turned into every once in a while challenges, they were still present for the last 3 years. And I know that once I finish with everything that I've already said and explained in a video, I'm probably going to come up with more. I'll say that I like that I got excited about my kid doing this or whatever, so that's going to be future videos. So for this one, I might as well get into it. I know this is long. I'm sorry. So one of the first ones that I wrote for my daily challenge was July 27th, 2016. So I decided to take on a daily challenge. Before I can learn to love myself, I have to like myself. So every day I pick something I've done or said that I like about me. Today, I like that when I make a profound decision and I've weighed all the pros and cons evenly, I commit to it. Sometimes in the past, there have been people who would chastise me, saying that I made such an abrupt decision, etc., simply because I chose it and went with it before anyone else had time to react. No, I didn't jump the gun. I process things on a quicker tempo than a lot of other people. I absorb, acknowledge, and adapt and act quickly, because this is how I do things and what I've had to live with constantly, not just with the Navy, but as a child. Things could happen suddenly, or I'd have to move for the upteenth time in another week. Side note, I had to move a lot as a kid, like constantly, especially during my parents' divorce. And that was for 4 years, where I went to 6, maybe 7 different schools. I'd have to count it, but I don't want to. But yeah, at least 6 different elementary schools in that 4-year time. And that's a lot, for a kid. And I was between ages 9 and 12, or 13 at the time. I was almost 13 when it ended, but that was just as a kid. And I had to move a few times before then. And then as I've grown up after I joined the Navy, I had to move a lot since then. So yeah. So just a side note. Um, it might seem irrational, but I assure you, I've already looked over all other options, so I'll make my choice on the best one. But when I do, I commit to it. I don't flounce around or posture about it. That doesn't mean I can't change my mind later on if if I've been presented with solid reasoning that states I should alter my path, because I will consider it. But for what is best for me and others in that moment, I will make my choice, and I will commit to it completely. Honor, courage, commitment. That's the Navy, motto, if you know. I do my best to be honorable, and I have courage to make the tough calls. But unless you commit to these others, everything falls apart. I like that I commit, and I do. I had to make some tough choices recently, especially moving my family last year. Um, I'm not going to disclose the location where we're at because I'm still trying to protect my family from my ex-husband and his family and everything that's gone on with them. Um, so I'm not going to say where we're at now, but my friends and family on Facebook know, my closed Facebook account. So it's, they know, but I'm not going to say in the video where we're at, but I still had to make some decisions that would benefit my family because it was really difficult where we're at, being a single parent, and it was too expensive. And I couldn't support my family on my own. And my ex-husband decided to move to another state to avoid being served child support papers. Great. So not only was I doing everything on my own, especially after I got out of the Navy while I was pregnant and struggling to get a job. And I did get a job after, I gave birth, but still it was difficult. It was really expensive. So I had to make some tough calls. And one of the ones that some people were really like, about was me moving my family in this big move to a new place and starting over. But I did it. I got my family where I needed to, and we've settled. And it would take something extremely monumental for us to move again because I don't want to. I want to raise my kids where we're at. I want to stay here and actually have the life that I never got. I want my children to be able to grow up with friends since childhood, My youngest is 19 months old. I want him to have friends from daycare and from elementary school all the way through high school. I want him to have that. I want my oldest to have best friends, since kindergarten because he started kindergarten recently. That's what I want. And I committed to that. And there are some people who I don't talk to anymore, but there were some people who were like, are you crazy? You have this stable environment. Why are you going here? And I'm like, it's not that stable because I can't support my family where I'm at. I have to do something. And I did. And I made it work. And there have been many times in my life where I committed to something and I worked my best at it. Now, not everything works out in the end when you commit to something. I mean, my marriage didn't work out. That was not on me for that. But I gave it 5 years. I worked hard for 5 years to help with it, but in the end, it didn't work. There was things that were happening in my life before the Navy, and I tried to commit to it, and it still fell apart. So I had to make a decision, and a lot of people thought I was being rash when I said I was joining the Navy, but back then I was suicidal. I'm not going to lie. I was having terrible issues with my family who were being abusive and not supportive at all. I was in a rough patch of my life to begin with before even all that stuff. And it had been a continuous thing for years anyway, the abuse of the family. But I was suicidal. I was actually thinking about killing myself back then in 2008 and 2009. And it was bad. I was literally taking time to walk off and not telling anyone where I was at and contemplating if I should buy a gun or if I should just, gut myself, or I should, Should I just cut my wrist? Like, I was literally considering doing terrible things. And I don't do drugs. I don't smoke. I don't have any addictions. I can barely stand taking medicine. I don't like taking pills. I don't mm, it's there's a history behind that, but that's for another time. But it's still, I was in a bad place. And people thought that my decision to join the Navy was rash. I'm like, no, no, it's not. I went to every recruiter. I didn't just go to the Navy. I went to the Army, the Marines. I went all over the place and I talked to all those people. And I chose Navy because I thought it was the best possible solution. It was the best place for resources. And I knew physically I was not going to be up to par for the Marines. I knew that I would not be able to physically adapt to the Marines. So I said, you know what? No, no to the Marines. I wouldn't be able to do that. I will be honest. But Navy, I was like, okay, that's like Marines light for physical. So there you go. Um, but I weighed all the pros and cons. And people thought I did everything too suddenly because they thought, why would you go to the Navy? And you seem like such a bubbly person. And, everyone kept up coming with these reasons why they couldn't understand why I would go to the Navy. And really, I'm like, really? Okay, not just my current situation, but I need direction in my life. I had no idea what I was doing. I was doing part-time college for a while, but I had no idea what I wanted to do. Why am I going to waste money and resources and time to something that I still was trying to figure out? No, I need to take a breather. I need to figure out where I'm going in life. So I took a pause. I talked to recruiters before I told my dad that I wanted to go to the Navy. And before I asked him to come with me to the Navy recruiter, I did all my research online. I talked to people who had been in the military before, not just family members, but, I went and talked to some of the recruiters and had them bring people who weren't, recruiters, but still had served and said, hey, what's the 411 on this? And I went through everything and it didn't take me long. It took less than a week, actually, between me running around, also working full time, and talking to people and looking things online. I had like a dossier of like 20 different sites that I was going to and billboards and everything. And you know what? It was the best decision I could have ever made in my life. But that's just it. I committed to it. The only reason I got out of the Navy is because I was injured and they refused to fix me. So it was medical separation. That's it. I was injured severely in my shoulder, rotator and labrum tear, and I dislocated my shoulder too. I was in severe pain. Now I still have some pain. It's more numb, which is actually a bad thing if you know about these kind of things. Actually, my whole arm sometimes just goes dead and numb. But they didn't want to fix me. They refused to. And I fought so hard to get fixed so I could deploy, so I could stay in. I mean, I'd injured my knee and I had surgery on my knee in 2011, and I fought and I worked hard and I got back up on my feet and I stayed in the Navy even when I had a cyst growing in the back of my knee to where I had to have surgery. I worked hard. I was committed and I made it work. But this one, it didn't matter what I did. They refused to keep me. They said, nope, you're gone. Bye. We're not going to do anything for you. We're only going to give you a minimal amount of disability. And the only reason that I got up to 30% for disability is because I also have tinnitus in both my ears. Thanks to being in a Navy squadron for my last duty stations. So, yay. But that's it. They pack on your way. But it wasn't because I wasn't committed. So, even though time has passed 3 years since I wrote that, I can still say with confidence that I do commit. If I make a decision, I'm going to go with it. I'm not just going to, lollygag. So that's one of my first challenges. And then I had another challenge from a couple years ago. And I wanted to read that too to kind of end this video. I know it's really long. I'm sorry. This is me still trying to talk it out, trying to get used to, trying to get over this fear of mine, and also hopefully um, sending positive vibes. Hopefully, I'm getting other people to want to do this challenge. To You don't have to share it. This is me getting over my fear. This is me working on my stuff. But I hope this inspires others to want to look at themselves in a better light, to actually take the time. You can write in a journal, in a diary, whatever. You can tell just one friend. It can be no one else, just that one friend that you trust. It can be you posting anonymously. You don't even have to have anything on your face. You can have like a, a mask on or whatever, and a voice modulator or something, and just reading off whatever you wrote to say, this is what I think about myself. This is how I feel, because this is one good thing about me. It can be however you want to. You don't have to go off of my example specifically for that, but hopefully it does inspire others to look at themselves in a positive light and to think positively about themselves. And coming from a person who deals with depression 24/7, that I'm high functioning, so you wouldn't guess sometimes. But that doesn't mean it's not there. It's always there. It's always going to be there. That's a part of my life, and I've accepted that. But I don't have to accept all the negativity that comes with it. I can push myself to be more positive. So that's why this is my closing daily challenge that I'm going to do for this first video. This is 14th of July, I believe is 2017. My daily things I love about myself. I love that I'm finally at a place in my own heart where I love and respect myself and no longer rely on that false need to have anyone in my life. It became a want. That gaping hole in my heart that I interpreted as my loneliness, which could only be supplemented with love from another, wasn't real. I needed to love myself, respect myself. And once I did, I found that a weight had been lifted. I don't need someone by my side, but maybe one day I'll want someone there. Side note, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm pretty happy with my life, and I really don't expect, love to, yeah. Side note, it's just, maybe it'll happen one day. No, I'm not really looking, don't really care. Maybe it'll happen. I'm not positive or, expecting it. But anyway, time will tell. But there's nothing wrong with being happy and in love with who I am. I'm proud of myself for getting this far after a decade or more of desperately grasping for purpose, for meaning. And I'm content to do just my own thing and enjoy the life of a single mom. My kids are my everything. My love's my life and my happiness. Which is true. I'm tearing up just saying that because they really are. My boys are my everything. So, sorry. I'm trying not to cry. This is something I wrote, so I don't know why I'm crying, but I've got to be the best version of me so I can show them how they should live life by loving and respecting themselves as well as others. But your inner happiness is just as important as anything else. And I love that about me. I love that I finally got to the place. It's bliss. And I still feel that way. I mean, after the divorce finalized, so many people were like, so when are you going to get a guy in your life so they can raise the boys with you? And I'm like, excuse me. I just got out of a heavily abusive relationship. I just got divorced. I'm a single mother trying to find her way in life and support her children best way she knows how. You're telling me that with my brokenness and after just getting out of this abusive relationship that I should just go get someone else? That I should just, for my friends, they know that I went through a period of indecision, and yeah, I dated someone sometime after. He'd been a friend for over a decade, but that wasn't because I was trying to find someone to raise the boys, contrary to how it may have looked. But right after getting separated from the Navy, right after dealing with everything with my ex-husband, everyone just They kept saying that I needed someone. And I took a stand and said, no, I don't need someone. I especially don't need someone in my life to love me, to love myself. That was the biggest thing that I went through growing up. I thought I had to have someone love me in order to love myself. And that is completely false. That is something that should not even be thought of. But unfortunately, people still go through that. And I think a lot of it's because other people manipulate them into thinking that, into feeling that way. I know I was. People manipulate me into thinking that I need someone in my life to feel worthwhile. That the only way I had a purpose is if there was someone else in my life. And that's simply not true. So that message is to say that I love myself, I respect myself, and I don't need a man in my life to show my children how to be men one day. And it's not because I'm like, I don't need a man. No, it's because they need a positive person in their life, a good person. Gender has nothing to do with it. That if you want a decent human being, there are plenty, and I mean plenty, of single moms who raise very decent human beings, little boys that grow up to be amazing men. And there are many single dads that raise little girls to understand their worth, to not take crap from anyone, to believe that they are equal in every way to everyone else, and that there's no reason for them to back down. There's no reason for them to run away and hide when things get, tough. There are plenty of single dads who raise their daughters to be that way, to be strong and independent and to believe in themselves. So gender has nothing to do with it on that plane. But this part was about me, because everything that goes on with me is going to bleed onto my children. Everything that I do is something that is going to happen with them, because they're going to see it. They're going to see how I'm going through this stuff, and they're going to mimic me. So you know what? I'm not going to always love myself. I'm going to have bad days. I've been having a lot of bad days recently, actually. But every day I go pick up my kids. I give them a million hugs and kisses, because I do this every day with them. I always say, I love you, constantly throughout the day. Sorry, I'm getting teary-eyed again, because they need that. They need to hear that, because I didn't get that growing up. I didn't get a lot of I love yous. And the few that I did were wrong. They were false. By a mom who was not just abusive, but she was mentally unstable, bipolar, schizophrenia, manic depressant. She abused her medications. She was heavily abusive in every way that a child should never go through. So, I mean, I didn't get the I love yous. And when she did give me an I love you, it was always in front of someone else to make them think that she was the perfect mom and that she loved me, when I know she didn't. She didn't know what love was. So I didn't get that. I'm giving that to my kids, though. I'm making sure that they know that it doesn't matter if I'm angry with you because you did something really bad that you shouldn't. My 5-year-old definitely gets into a lot of mischief, and I'm like, yep, he's just like me at that age. But I still tell him every day, I say, I love you. Even when you frustrate me, I love you. I like you as a person, too. You're a very smart little boy, but you're also fun. You love to have fun. You're very friendly. You like to go out of your way to help people. You love to give affection to others. If someone comes to our door and it's someone that we're expecting, he will immediately try to get him to sit him on the couch, and he'll ask him, do you need a blanket? Do you need something to drink? This is my 5-year-old. He's wanting to make sure that you are comfortable in our house and that you are taken care of. And he definitely did not get that from my ex-husband. This love, this willingness to go outside and enjoy life and to help others and to love others and be there for others. I have to give myself props. I'm showing him that, because I don't treat anyone differently, whether they're a different gender or race, whether they've got disabilities, tattoos, I've got tattoos. I don't treat anyone differently. Everyone is equal to me. Everyone deserves love. To me, everyone deserves love. And he sees that. So the same thing has to happen in loving myself and respecting myself, because then he's going to see that and he's going to want to do that. So that's the other reason why I think these daily challenges are important. Everything I do is going to reflect on my children. Everything I do is going to come back to them, and they're going to see what I'm doing. So it's just me getting over my fear of stage fright by actually saying it in a video. And I know this is incredibly long, and I'm so sorry. This is my startup video. So if you've listened to this far, kudos to you, and thank you so much. And yeah, there will be other videos, but they will definitely be shorter than this, I promise. But thank you so much for listening. I hope that I have inspired someone out there to look at yourself and to think, you know what, there's something positive about me. There's something good about me. Because you're worth it. You have something positive about you. You just, maybe you don't see it right away, but maybe if you start this challenge, it doesn't have to be daily, I promise, because life gets in the way. But I hope you at least try, and you see that even if it's a small thing, doing dishes, or sweeping the floor, or I like that I watched a movie today that I never watched before. I hope that you do those challenges and you see that you like doing things, you like these things about yourself because you do those things. I hope that this inspires you to think that way, because you are worth it, and there are people that love you, even if you don't see it, even if you don't understand it. It's okay. Please just acknowledge that it is in existence, that there is someone out there who loves you, and that you are worthwhile. So I hope this helps in whatever way it can, because I didn't think this way about myself before, but now I'm starting to. And even though this is 3 years of me doing this, it's now starting to click. But hey, 3 years of me constantly doing this, and it's finally getting there. So just keep at it, okay? And yeah, thank you so much. And I'm sorry this is so long. Bye.